Congratulations, you just had a baby. Now everyone's telling you to open up an RESP for their education fund. But here's what nobody's mentioning. If something happens to you, that RESP won't help your kids if there's no income to keep contributing to it. Or even worse, if your family was to lose the house. There's one financial move that matters way more than saving for things like university, and most new parents are skipping it entirely. I call it the RESP trap. RESPs are great. We get free government money, we get tax-free growth. But they only work if you're alive to fund them for the next 18 years. Most parents are prioritizing saving for education before protecting their own income. So what actually happens when there's no life insurance? Well, the surviving spouse won't be able to afford the mortgage. The RESPs are going to get drained for things like living expenses. That means that the kids' futures are going to get derailed, not because of lack of saving, but because of lack of protection. So here's the real priority. The life insurance, we think of it as things like the foundation. The RESPs, TFSAs, and savings, it's the house that you build on top of that foundation. You can't build wealth if the foundation collapses. 64% of Canadians have life insurance plans that help them with the costs of things like eye care, prescriptions, and dental care. But only 9% have this type of insurance privately. But here's the problem. The average employer policy covers just 1 to 2 times your salary, which doesn't come close to replacing 18 years of income, paying off a mortgage, and funding your kids' futures. I worked with a couple. We're going to call them Jordan and Alex. They had their first baby. They wanted to start an RESP right away. But when we looked at their coverage, Jordan had $150,000 in group life insurance through work. Alex had nothing. Their mortgage was $420,000, and Jordan was the primary earner at $92,000 a year. If something was to happen to Jordan, that $150,000 would cover only a third of the mortgage and leave Alex with a toddler, no partner, and a financial crisis. We were able to set them up with $750,000 in term life for Jordan for about $50 a month. And then we got $500,000 in coverage for Alex for about $35 a month. Now, the RESP contributions actually make sense because the foundation here is solid. So let's say you're 30 years old. You make $80,000 a year. You've got a good income. And you've got 18 years until your newborn is going to be 18. That's $1.44 million in income that you'd provide over those years. If we add your $400,000 mortgage, $15,000 for funeral costs, and maybe $100,000 for kids' education, that would mean that you would need roughly $2 million in coverage. A $2 million 20-year term life insurance policy for a healthy 30-year-old would be about $80 to $100 a month. That's less than your phone bill, and it guarantees that your family doesn't lose everything if you're not there. So now you might be thinking, well, what are some steps that I could take at home myself? Well, here's 4 steps that you can take. Step 1 is calculate exactly what you need. So that would be about 10 to 12 times your annual income. Step 2 is get term life insurance right now. Term life insurance equals affordable, straightforward coverage for a set period of time, whichever you decide on, 10, 20, 30 years. You're the youngest and healthiest right now, which means the cheapest rates are the cheapest you'll ever get. So don't wait. Every year you age, your premiums go up. Step 3, cover the stay-at-home parent. Even though they're not bringing in an income, we forget that things like childcare, cooking, cleaning cost roughly $30,000 to $50,000 a year if you had to replace it. Both parents do play a role and absolutely need coverage. Step 4, now we start the RESP. Once the foundation is solid, we prioritize long-term savings. Government grants, they make RESPs an absolute no-brainer, but they only really make sense if your family is protected first, like if we have that solid foundation. So here's what matters for you. An RESP is absolutely great, but it only works if you're around to keep funding it. Life insurance, it isn't about you. It's about making sure your kids still get fed, that they're still housed, and that they could still get education, even if the absolute worst happens. You're thinking about their future, which is awesome. But the foundation of that future is making sure that they're financially secure no matter what. If you just had a baby and you're wondering whether you have enough coverage or any at all, let's talk. I offer a free 20-minute clarity call where we'll look at what you actually need, what it costs, and how it fits into your budget alongside things like RESP's emergency savings. No pressure, no sales pitch, just a clear plan so you can stop worrying and start protecting what matters the most. The link to book is in the description below. I like to think of it as the parenting decision that takes only 20 minutes but protects for the next 18 years. Let's make sure your family's covered the right way. Book your call, and I'll see you there.